I went to a school in Thornbury, and it was quite strange. I quite liked it. There was lots of children. My main recollection of that school was that, having told the school that I was a Muslim and I couldn't eat meat because they didn't provide halal meat at the time, that on one particular occasion a teacher took sympathy with me because I was purely eating vegetables. And in those days, there was always a teacher at the head of the table, as it were, with a number of children sat around. She took pity on the diet that I was on and decided to force feed me a sausage. So that was quite a traumatic experience, really, because having been told by my dad that we couldn't eat meat and things like this, that I was force fed a sausage at the age of 6 in infant school.
School, like most kids, is always a challenge, meeting new people, uh, constantly starting all over again. Not knowing the language didn't actually help. And a lot of the times, we got into fights, I would say purely because we couldn't understand what was being said to us. Verbally, but I suppose the body language said quite a lot to us, and hence the reason there was quite a lot of violence around.
We were attacked as we were going on buses. We were attacked when we got off buses. And the only way we could survive was to meet lots of friends from other schools.
I remember whenever I got into a fight at the junior school, I always took my shirt off because there was this thing about, well, if I got my shirt dirty, I'd get another crack at home, right, for coming back. A white, clean shirt going into school and coming back with all muck on it. So I always took my shirt off for some odd reason.
There was one particular guy whose name was James, was the sort of school bully, basically, decided to call me a monkey. So first of all, he started sort of calling me a monkey, and then he started calling me a packy, and then a blackie, and he being a bully, he'd sort of managed to get other school children, to sort of call me names, and that culminated in a fight, eventually, and it was in fact a student teacher that stopped the fight, and he'd obviously had problems with this bully as well, because his remark to me was that next time I should hit him harder.
Not all white children were brutes. I think that many white kids were forced into fighting their own friends. I mean, that happened with a very, very close friend of mine who really didn't want to join the white kids when we had a full-fledged battle in the school with virtually every white kid on one side and all the Asian kids on the other side.
I know we faced quite a lot of racism into all the girls, not even the ones who were born in this country, because there were some girls who didn't want to sit next to us, things like that. But we just put it down to bad manners, and sometimes we complained and sometimes we just let it go. But because we were in our own group.
I noticed in Bradford that they had what was known as immigrant classes, and the first thing that happened to me was that I got put in an immigrant class as soon as I came into Bradford, and generally these were the children that had come from abroad recently, and were all sorts of ages. So the people were in this class was in different chronological age. So there was much older children in the school, in the same class. And essentially they'd put me in the wrong year group. When they looked at my report, they just dumped me in this immigrant class, saying, "Oh, here's another Asian boy that's come to school," type of thing.
I'd said to the teachers, look, I can speak English now, I can read it. Why do I still have to remain in the stream that's learning English? We used to have streams in those days, and I wasn't getting anywhere, so I had to get my uncle to go into school to say, look, he speaks English. Why is he having to learn English again? So on the educational front, we were fighting very, very hard.
I remember coming home one day after a history lesson at school and sharing the information with my father about what I'd just been taught that day. And my father sort of corrected me. Not because he was that educated in historical facts of India, but his own experiences. And I was taught in my history lesson how good the empire was for India, and we built the roads for the uncivilized people out there, and etc. When I come and share that with my father says, well, most of the roads were already there, right? Some roads were built by the Raj, but they weren't built for the benefit of the Indians. They were built so that they could get the stuff out of India a lot quicker, right, and more conveniently. And as far as civilization is concerned, that we were running around in silks when this lot was still in animal skins. So I went back and shared that information with my school history teacher. I wasn't very popular with the teacher after that because it meant I was challenging well-founded, as far as well-founded could be, belief of what the empire was about.
By the time we left school, we had, I think we'd gone into a strike with, or we'd participated in some joint political activity with all the kids. Something, the National Union of School Students or something like that was formed. I can't remember it all now, but there was a time when we all participated together. So it wasn't all, it didn't happen all the time, but I think the political activity came knocking into our lives,